Centering is one of the most frustrating parts of working on the wheel, and it's also the very beginning of working on the wheel. So I want to set you up for success. We're going to take a deep dive into centering, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to get over that hump and get you there. When we're centering, our body position is really important. And one of the most important things is that we are anchoring our body. I'm either anchoring my elbows into my abdomen or potentially into my thigh, depending on my position, whether I'm seated at a low wheel or a high wheel. But I often talk about this triangle, and it's my hands interacting with each other and then my elbows coming into my body. It's super, super important that you're able to remain stable so that you can move the clay instead of the clay moving you. This is about a pound of clay. I'm going to start off by really taking my time to wedge my clay. I'm going to take that clay and I'm placing my hand on here and I'm compressing my clay down onto the wheel head. I want to make sure that this is firmly affixed to my wheel head before I start the wheel head spinning. In addition to that, I'm trying to grip my clay really uniformly so that when I start my wheel spinning, my clay is already somewhat centered before I've even put my hands on the clay. Centering can be really challenging, so I'm going to really work slow and I'm going to work you through kind of the way that I've found that works for me. I'm using water. I'm getting my hands extremely wet and my clay wet. My left hand is on the side of the piece of clay and my right hand is coming down on top of the piece of clay. It's the heel of my right hand bisecting the center and the palm of my left hand resting on the side. I'm going to interlock these hands together. You'll notice that my arms are in close to my body. We want to stay supported through this process. And I'm going to start by applying downward pressure with the heel of my dominant hand. I'm leaning down onto my hand, and I like to use the analogy of a suction cup. I want to force any air or water out from underneath of my clay, get my clay firmly affixed to the bat before I apply any inward pressure. Water is your friend during this stage of the process, and you want to keep it lubricated. I'm returning my hands to the same position, and I'm going to be applying forward pressure with the palm of my left hand. I'm leaning my body into the clay. I'm not using my bicep to push this clay forward. I'm using the mass of my body to gently push this clay in. As I push in, my clay will go upward. Remember that as you release pressure, you need to release slowly. If I pull my hand quickly off of the clay, it sends my clay off center. But if I apply pressure forward and gently release, my clay will stay on center. So now I have pushed down, I've pushed up, and I'm going to go back down again. As I'm going back down, I'm offering a little bit of pressure in as I apply pressure down. I'm gently coaxing my clay on center by pushing in and pushing down at the same time. As I get close to center, I can always tell if something's on center if I rest my hands on the clay and look away. If I feel my hands moving back and forth, then I know that my clay is not on center. This is the foundation of the object that we're making, so we want to take our time and get this nice and centered, the same way we wouldn't want to build a house on a crooked foundation. So I'm going to add a little bit more water. The closer this gets to center, the smaller the differential between pushing in with the palm of my left hand or non-dominant hand and pushing down with the heel of my right hand or dominant hand will become. I want to gently release pressure, add a little bit more water. I'm very close to center, so that differential is going to get a little smaller. I'm pushing up just a little bit, gently releasing pressure, pushing back down just a little bit. As I get to center, I really want to be careful about how I push pressure on and take pressure away. So this is an example of something that's centered. Another way that I can tell that it's centered, if I rest my wrist on the splash pan, putting my finger in here close to my clay, I notice that it is not undulating to and from my finger. There are lots of different ways to do things correctly, but I find that my way will really help you eliminate some of those variables and could help you get your clay centered.